Right now, Andrea Kramer, she has more on this game. Andrea.
Hey, Colleen. Well, excellence and consistency are hallmarks of the Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady era. 15 playoff appearances, 15 division titles, 8 Super Bowl appearances, and of course, 5 titles. But perhaps most impressive is that this is all being done at a time when the league is built for parity. Well, what the Krafts have built is a dynasty, but really they are just a family business. I had a rare double team with team owner Robert Kraft and his son, team president Jonathan, to talk about bringing a 6th Lombardi trophy home to Foxborough. Schaefer Stadium, section 217, row 23, seats 1 through 6. What are the most vivid memories you have of you taking your 4 sons to the game, you being one of those 4 sons?
Well, we also used to take friends of theirs. We used to bring about 10, sometimes 12. We only had 6 seats.
He used to push us right through the turnstiles so the kids would go flying through. We used to bring rolls of toilet paper that were half unwound, and then when they scored, you'd throw them and you'd watch them. You'd see if you could reach the field. It was fun.
Was there ever a question you were going to go into the family business?
I knew from a young age that I wanted to work with my dad. He was my everything in life. I looked up to him, and he was, and so it's just what I wanted to do.
How did you have to learn how to be an owner of a professional football team?
There's no training course.
Right.
And, you know, it's like no other business. And I think we learned that early on, having Parcells as our first coach.
He always calls Parcells the Nobel laureate of teaching owners the ropes. And so Parcells was inherited. And when Parcells was leaving, my father said to me, my gut says we should really hire Belichick. There's so much dysfunction in this building right now. We just have to completely clear house.
It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Bill Belichick.
Your word at the end of the Parcells tenure, dysfunction. Is there dysfunction in the organization now?
No.
There's no dysfunction.
No, wait,
Zero.
You have tension. I think tension, a certain amount of tension helps make great things happen.
Dysfunction is when people take energy and use it to think about how to undermine other people. That does not happen. If it happens in this organization, I haven't seen it.
Tom Brady's your runaway MVP in this game.
The 5th son, how do you feel about having another brother?
You know, the worst part about having Tommy as a brother is he's taller, he's more handsome, he's smarter, he's much more talented, he's got a big full head of hair. But I love him like a brother, so when my father calls him a 5th son, I'm fully supportive of that.
Can you envision a scenario where you're the one that has to tell Tom Brady it's time to retire as a Patriot?
I think Tom Brady's earned the right to have that be a decision he makes when he wants to make it.
Our intent is we have the best people in their respective positions, and we keep them here for a very long time.
As we sit here today, do you have any question that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady will be back as Patriots next season?
I appreciate you asking that question, and I'm not going to respond to it. You'll just have to see for yourself.
I'm joined now by the man who scoffed at the notion that the 5th son would be anyone other than Willie McGinnis, the Kraft's first draft pick of their era.
We got to have a talk about that. Me and Jonathan and Mr. Kraft after this.
Yes, because that's for sure. When you hear them talk about the possible end of the Brady-Belichick era, how and when do you think it could come to be?
I think they're having so much success. And I know they use the word dysfunctional or tension or whatever.
Tension.
Family fights, and family sometimes disagrees. But at the end of the day, the goal is the same. It's to go out, play at a certain level, consistently win, and at times you have to switch things up. It may not always be the way you want it, and all great things, come to an end. You know, at the end of the day, all great dynasties come to the end. All great things come to an end. So at some point, it will end.
You don't see when that would be, though? You don't have an idea?
I think there's a lot of football left in Bill Belichick. There's certainly a lot of football left to the league's MVP, Tom Brady, and we see where he's going. He's not falling off. And I think when you start to decline in what you do, I think that's when you start to think about, you know, leaving the sport. But I don't see that anytime soon.
So the Hall of Fame class was announced last night.
Yep.
Of course, Eddie DeBartolo went in a few years ago. Jerry Jones went in last year. I asked Jonathan Kraft what argument he would make for his father's inclusion into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
My father's been able to do in touching people from all walks of life, literally from around the world. Look, I'll make the case for Robert Kraft in the Citizen of the World Hall of Fame, okay? So I would indoctrinate or, you know, induct him into that.
Thanks.
So Robert Kraft, of course, says he thinks that the whole process is political, but as you'd expect him to say, right? But what for you makes Kraft a Hall of Famer?
If we look at our great game and where it's grown in the last, I don't know, 10 years, he's definitely a piece and part and a huge component of the growth of our game. Bridging the gap between the league and the NFLPA and players' issues and things that go on off the field. And talk about building a monster. I remember coming in 94 and seeing what Foxborough looked like. And he was the first to have that vision to turn that into what is now known Patriot Place, which is nowhere near, it morphs what we had. So for a man that has a vision, that's put in the work, that's helped build not just their organization, but our league, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you talk about Patriot Place. Everybody talks about Jerry's World. Patriot Place was really the template for that. It really came along much